I don't know if you guys heard about this, but FedNow just got started the beginning of July this month. I don't know if you know that much about FedNow, but it's basically like your PayPal, your Venmo, your Zelle, all your digital transactions you do through your phone. Um, Basically, it's another version of that, but it's supposed to be basically put on steroids, for lack of better words. The transaction is supposed to go super quick. The transaction fees are supposed to be smaller for banks. All this good stuff, right? But do we really want our transactions tracked? And if we don't have a choice on if they're going to be tracked and somebody's going to have that data, do we really want the government? I guess it's not a government entity through the Federal Reserve, but the federal government will have access to what the Federal Reserve has. So, do we really want that? Is the big question. I think I personally just rather have the private sector, private businesses have that, since I don't think that they would be able to use it in order to push some sort of political positions. So that's really my big thing. But we're going to get into it, guys. Happy Monday. Welcome to Getting to the Facts. Again, I'm your host, Andrew Curiel. But we're going to get right to business, guys, and hop right into this thing for you, just so we can have a little bit of a rundown on what FedNow is. Okay. FedNow is the first U.S. government created and backed portal allowing banks to send and receive funds almost instantly. The Fed already has a payments portal, but it doesn't operate in real time, unlike Venmo, Cash App, and other money transfer apps that allow users to instantly send money between app accounts. But to receive money in your bank account, whether from a check, direct deposit, or payments app, you may have to wait a few business days or bide your time over holidays or weekends. When FedNow launches, you'll be able to make payments, say on your mortgage, ideally within seconds. You'll be able to send funds on the due date rather than having to plan several days out for an online payment to clear or up to a week for a check to be processed. And business owners will be able to send and receive invoice payments in real time online. That's all great. There's a lot of good. I'm not saying there's not a lot of good when it comes to what they're doing. My biggest thing is it is a government created one. Okay, this is not the private sector trying to do things to make business more optimal. For me, this just without even getting into it a whole lot yet, this already is seeming like just a way where the government can be like, hey, here's some benefits that are going to make things a lot easier for digital payments, but not letting you know they're going to now have full access to every single transaction that you do through FedNow. Every transaction will be marked. And that's going to be a problem. And we really need to just pay attention on really what's going on with that. And then they go on here. Will FedNow create a digital currency? Critics have speculated that FedNow will create a digital currency, but the Fed has tried to dispel this false assumption by flatly saying FedNow is not related to a digital currency. And of course they're going to say that because it's not. FedNow, as of right now, this program is for payments, instant transactions through banks, through personal, through one-on-one transactions as well. It's just the thing is, guys, is when we go more digital, everything is going to have a paper trail. You're always going to have a paper trail, and it's not about doing anything illegal. It's just about having the freedom to not have to worry about someone looking over your shoulder on every single transaction. I mean, I think that's why when they tried passing in that spending bill, the Build Back Better bill in the very beginning of Biden's administration, they tried sneaking into the bill that they're going to now be able to track any transaction that's $600 or higher. $600 that got taken out. But this FedNow thing is now, because it is created by the federal government, they're going to have access to the Federal Reserve. They keep trying to say the Federal Reserve is not a part of the federal government. It's obviously not a branch, but they are so tightly intertwined with the federal government that it's hard to kind of piece them apart. Like, our president is the one who appoints the next director of the Federal Reserve, or whatever the official name is. Okay. But that's the problem. And I'm telling you guys, this is what I'm worried about. And then if every single bank, right, if every single major bank or financial institution adopts FedNow, that means they are now going to have access to every single transaction that goes along with any bank that you can think of. And I bank with Chase. I bank with a big bank. I have a feeling Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, a lot of these big banks are going to go right into FedNow really quickly, which is going to make me want to lean more to a credit union. I would suggest people look into credit unions, because credit unions, they usually recycle the money back into the community. So the your money that you are keeping in that bank, it's actually helping out the businesses in your local community, instead of just going to a big bank, which, I mean, I just had Chase since I was 16 because it was easy. They made it easy, but the older you get and the more knowledge that you get on certain things and what things do, I'd strongly recommend people to at least look into what credit unions can do. And credit unions will be like one of the last financial institutions, at least the local ones, that will fall into this FedNow way of doing things. Okay. And like I said, there's a lot of good stuff when it comes to FedNow. Like, there's a lot of good benefits, but I think the cons are so big to where I just don't want to have any part of it. You know what I mean? I just don't want to have no part of anything like that. So I do have a video here, guys, that I think is going to be really interesting for everyone to watch. It's only going to be, we're only going to watch a portion of it. So it's only going to be like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, right? But it goes in to why this is in a little bit more detail on why this can be not so good of a thing. And again, my whole thing is because it's government created. Okay. Federal government has way too much power and they keep trying to get more and more of it. We don't need to give them anything more, especially when it comes to our money. Okay. They already taken enough of it with taxes. I don't need them tracking everything that I do. You know what I mean? So we're going to watch this, guys. It's from Breaking Points. This is one of their, he's not a host, but he's like a guest speaker that comes on once or twice a week and talks about different things within like the financial markets and stuff. If you guys are not, if you're not subscribed to Breaking Points, I'd recommend to do so right down here. Breaking Points on YouTube. They're a very unbiased, independent news network. Sagar and Crystal Ball, they both Sagar worked at the White House for a little bit. He's been in politics, more center right leaning. And then you got Crystal Ball, who's definitely, I wouldn't say center, but in today's world, she kind of is, I guess, but she's definitely more left leaning. And she's been a news anchor and stuff like that in the mainstream media before they formed this. I really like how they come about it. They really try to just give news without giving any type of bias when it comes to it, which is exactly what we need out of our news. You know what I mean? So we're going to get into this video, guys, and see what we got here.
Proponent, the introduction of FedNow to compete with RTP could be seen as a good thing, spurring innovation and price competition. That being said, while the clearinghouses RTP and FedNow are very similar in its capabilities and fee structure, there is one major difference: governance. Clearinghouses RTP is operated by a consortium of banks, and FedNow is centrally controlled by one bank, the Federal Reserve Bank. This has raised some eyebrows among folks who are distrustful of centralized financial planning, one of them being Professor Richard Werner, an economist well known for his research on monetary policy, banking systems, and economic development.
You know, the central bankers want to compete against banks. So we can't really trust them anymore to really take the benevolent, policies that are good for society and create stability. Maybe there's a different agenda.
Interesting. What agenda might that be? Because on one hand, real-time transactions can be a boon for fraud prevention. Like I previously mentioned, if something suspicious does occur, it can be identified and dealt with immediately. But on the flip side, this real-time logging of transactions means that a detailed record of your financial activity is being created and stored. Every purchase, every bill paid, every penny sent to a friend for that pizza last night, it's all logged in real time by a government-backed entity. To reiterate, FedNow is run by the Federal Reserve Bank, which in theory operates independently from the federal government, but it does maintain a close relationship with them. So it's not inconceivable that transaction data could be shared under certain circumstances. The question then becomes, under which circumstances might this data be shared? For criminal investigations, for tax purposes, economic analysis? These are all questions that we don't yet have answers to. In the past few years,
guys, I mean, that gives a really good breakdown. That's why I really like that that clip, because he really gives a really strong breakdown on what FedNow is doing and really what it does. And again, guys, it's I just don't. As we keep going through, we went through the pandemic. We saw how the government abused our rights as citizens all over the place. I don't care if you agree with the vaccine or not. You being forced to do something like that in the United States goes against every fabric of what it means to be an American. It just does. If I don't care what way that you lean, right? If you're trying to force somebody to do something that you think is beneficial, but they might not, what is your right to say that they can or cannot, or use a government entity to force them to do what you want them to do? Guys, that's not what we do here. That's not what we do. We are not China. We're not any of these dictator-like countries. And we need to realize that. Like that it's just going a little bit over and beyond. You know what I mean? So I am very skeptical, I guess. Let me put it this way. I'm very skeptical of anything that the government tries to bring in that's new, that gives them any more access to information they don't already have. They already have everything that they need. They don't need a lot up-to-date, by the second of real-time data showing logs of every transaction. Nobody needs that. The government does not need that. They just want that, because the more information and the more power and control they have over the population, the easier it is to do things. And look, the government is here to protect us, foreign and domestically, okay? Not figure out new ways to control us and make us not move. I mean, guys, if they have full access, like if every single bank and financial institution goes in line with this FedNow thing, okay? Think about down the road. If you're doing something that the government doesn't like you to do, they can instantly stop your accounts, stop you from spending money, stop you from transferring money, can't pull no money out, can't transfer it anywhere. I mean, guys, it's not about, oh, well, I have this way of thinking, so the government's never going to come after me. No. If someone else gets in power that doesn't lean your way on things, the exact same thing's going to be coming right at you. Okay, so we just got to be thinking about this, guys. Again, this is stuff that I think both sides of the aisle, we should really be able to come together on and find some middle ground just on what we should care about, what we need to stand up and fight together for. We can disagree about a lot. There's a lot of stuff that we could disagree about, obviously, and we need both sides need to make sacrifices to make sure we all live in a peaceful society for the most part. Try to be as peaceful as we can in the non-peaceful world. All right. But again, guys, I hope you like the topic. Again, whenever it's talking about my money, I want to know about it. So again, hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you press that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're still growing, guys. We're already at 57 subscribers. We just started this thing not even a month ago, maybe just barely a month ago now. So we're going to keep rolling. We're going to keep trying to make this better. All right. But have a great start to your week. Have a great Monday. Stay blessed, and I'll see you on the next video.